Hi, John. How are
Hello.
you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm Tanya with the comeback seat, and we have John in the seat today, and he's got quite the story. As he put it, I think you have 25 comeback throughout your
Pretty
lifetime.
much about one. You've been averaging one a year since I lost my leg in a car wreck. I'll tell you a little bit more about the audience, a little bit more about a story behind this running leg I haven't shared very often. But since my amputation 25 years ago, we've had about 25 various comebacks. But grateful to be here
Each year
today.
there's always something.
Exactly.
2026 will be your year.
This is it.
This
Honored
is
to be here
it.
with you.
Well, thank you so much, John. And I just wanted to tell the listeners a little bit about you. If you can tell them prior to your car accident, where you grew up, how old you were before the car accident, and then we'll go into the car accident.
So just to give your audience a little bit of perspective, car accident, ended up in LA doing acting and stunt work on major productions. I'm an inventor, motivational speaker, and I've gone from parties at the Playboy Mansion with Adam Sandler to living in a double wide mold infested trailer on the banks of a river with a roommate named Beaver and everything in between. So we'll get into that. But I was born and raised, lucky to be have a great mother and father, born and raised in San Antonio, Texas. And grew up in the country a little bit. Grew up on 9 acres and a lot of room to roam and treehouse and everything a kid. Did most of everything that I wanted. I would say growing up, entitled a lot of times, and that didn't serve me well later on in life, feeling entitled. But had a great upbringing. Just mom, dad, and older brother. My brother was like 3.5 years older than me, and no longer here. So we talk about that in a little bit as well. But to have kind of in the South.
Were you a sports kid, or did you
I was, these days, I would have been categorized as ADHD back in the day.
Okay.
But with all the trauma work and the things I've been able to do, calm my nervous system down over the years, I don't consider myself ADD per se, but I would have been back then just hyperactive, always on the move, and it had a dysregulated nervous system from childhood surgeries. And let's start with that. So that's really where trauma of my life started. Was I had a bunch of ear infections as a kid and the tubes a couple times, and then I had a whole repair to my eardrum one time. So they had to cut behind my ear, and they would lay my ear back in surgery and pack it with, I had to pull it out like a shoestring kind of gauze with pus and blood on it. And then it just progressed to where I ended up having to fly out of state to Oklahoma and have an eardrum transplant and prosthetic bones put in my ear. And
How old were you?
I was probably about 13 or 14 at that time.
Oh my gosh.
That was the last procedure I had, and it was the third time they cut behind my ear. I have scars back here. And so early on in my childhood, I just felt I had all the support around me, all the love, a great family, but I just felt like broken and defective and insecure about myself. Just always almost like a live power line. When you're around a power line, that reverberation sound, that I felt that in my central nervous system all growing up. And so I had to get it out through energy, activity, sports. And so, yes, I was a sports guy, more so than a study kind of guy.
You're good looking to look at, listeners. He's good looking. But
Thank you.
Were you good looking at Jock back in the day too?
I was real skinny, I guess. So yes, it was.
Were you a player?
Yes.
How old are you today?
Not today.
How old are you today?
Today I'm 48.
48.
So,
okay. Yeah. Back in the day, we would call like players, jocks, girlfriend to girlfriend.
A little bit. Yeah, not as bad as some of the other guys. I did have Christian roots, and growing up in the church, I did have some moral compass where I wasn't just totally abusing, but I've been spurts where I could have behaved better. But it wasn't as bad as some of the other guys. And I was real scrawny, so I wasn't like muscular. I never had this much muscle on before. Actually, this is the best physique I've ever had at age 48. After all the traumas I've been through, I'm really proud of the work I've been able to put in the gym. But I was always just kind of scrawny little guy, so it wasn't too intimidating.
Okay, you go at the age of 14, you get this horrific, 13, 14, you get this horrific surgery, and then you recover from that. Still tense.
Normal life in high school. So my goal, my senior year in high school, I was like, I'm going to get class clown. That was like, sole goal was to get class clown. And I went so over the top, the addictive gene in me or the addict in me, can't just take it to one level. I got to take it to the extreme. And so at prom senior year, they called out the senior superlatives. And so I got class clown. I was like, yeah, the award. Walked up there all, with my tux on. I got the award for, and the next thing you're like, most outgoing, John Mabry. I was like, oh, wow. All right, cool. And they're like, most cool spirited, John Mabry. I was like, what? And one other one. So I ended up getting 4. I was shooting for 1. I went so over the top. I got 4 awards.
Awesome.
And Really what it was, I come to find out years later in all this trauma work I've done, is I found out that it was just an overcompensation for those feelings that I had from my ear surgeries of feeling broken and defective and something's just wrong with me and I'm just different than everybody else. So it just showed how over the top I had to go to cover up what was really going on underneath the surface, and it was present since childhood, really.
And then what year was the car accident?
So yeah, I graduated high school in '96 there in San Antonio area, Smithson Valley High School, shout out. And I graduated from there, went to Baylor University and worked through, I was a communications major. And my senior year was absolutely perfect. I had worked, years to get to my senior year. I had earned a full ride scholarship.
Nice.
I was doing video work as a communications major. I did video work for the football team. So I got paid the same scholarship the football players got. So
nice.
I was like, man, I'm walking around. I get full ride, $550 a month stipend, the whole thing, books and fees, everything covered. So I got my school covered my senior year. I'm a social chairman of my fraternity. So I'm setting up events with sororities, wheeling and dealing in the social space in the fraternity sorority world. And then I'm dating a cheerleader who was our fraternity sweetheart. And I set up this cruise out of New Orleans, March of 2000. 35 of us travel from Waco, Texas to New Orleans. We go on this cruise. Everything went great. And we're on our way back. And that's when everything started to fall apart. That's when my life got flipped upside down. We were driving in a friend's SUV outside of Houston on our way back to Waco, and just a tire blew out. There was rest in the car. I'm a right rear passenger seat. All of us had our seatbelts on, thankfully, or I wouldn't be here. And the right rear tire blows out, and we start, the car starts violently, the whole life just flashes before your eyes. And literally like an out-of-body experience. I saw my life as a movie, and it's almost like a film. At the end of the old film reel, the film would run out. Yes. And that was like vision of life, like the film reel about to run out. This is the end of my life right now. And so I went into a headspace of like, I'm going to die now. And the car rolled, when it hit the median, and we just started rolling. And witness reports say we rolled between 6 and 12 times.
Jeez.
So I was conscious the whole time. I saw it all happening. My legs got the window somehow. I tried to pull them back in, and they just were getting crushed. And I ended up crawling out of the car, saw my friends in the car, and I said, you know what, if this stuff, the car's going to blow up. That's what cars do in the movies when they roll 10 times, they blow up. So just saved my life. I crawled out of the car. I looked back, and all my friends are still there. And so I said, you know what, I'm going back in. If the car blows up, we're all going together. Let's do this. And so, I'm just shock and horror and survival. I crawled back in, got one friend out. The driver was pinned in, and her boyfriend was tending to her. So they end up, next thing you know, I'm lay out on the side of the road, just exhausted. And here comes first start coming in. Traffic's backed up for miles. Road flares, jaws of life come in. They start cutting the car open. You hear the crashing and the metal just apart as they're trying to get Ashley out. And in comes a helicopter. And you're thinking, what the heck has my life turned into? Like, nobody prepared me for this kind of stuff. I had private school, and I had everything I needed, and full ride scholarship, dating the cheerleader. Like, I don't have tools to handle this kind of stuff. And so they end up, Ashley Furman. Ashley was the driver. She did nothing wrong. She had the set on 70, beautiful day. Nobody was drinking or driving. And she passed away in the helicopter before they got her to the hospital.
Oh my gosh.
So I'd love to say, call out and her mom, Tara, our dear friends of today.
Every parent's worst nightmare.
Yes. Yep. So I ended up going to multiple hospitals that day, a small little hospital and then a regional, and they're trying to piece my leg back together for a few surgeries, and ended up getting home back to San Antonio, where I did the bulk of my 14 procedures in a year. And they weren't all surgeries going in and cutting stuff out necessarily, but I did one. They took one of my abdominal muscles out. I had a big hole in the side of my foot, and they put my muscle in the side of my foot and took skin off my hip and put skin graft over that muscle. I was in ICU for 3 nights for that procedure alone. I had screws and pins and needles. I had a brace up my knee. I had to have a custom shoe built. I had a cane when I finally got somewhat mobile, and just got exhausted from all the surgeries I was going to continue to have. So I made you can't really go mulligan on it, but I made the decision to electively have my leg amputated below the knee. So here we go. This is my new prosthetic I just got yesterday. All this is new. It takes
Now,
months.
did you design this one?
No. So
No.
these are class professionals do this kind of work. This is very, very
This is
specialized. Specialized. They go to school for 4 years, if not more, to become a certified prosthetist. That's what they're called, not prostitute, prosthetist. And I call them my leg dealer. So I got my leg dealer hit me up yesterday with this new one. And if amputee out there listening, it has that new leg smell. I know it sounds weird, but it's like carbon fiber here and silicone. I don't know what it is, but it wears off after a few weeks. But there's something about that new leg smell that's
now you're huffing.
Exactly.
What's on your prosthetic leg? How many you had?
Oh gosh, I don't know, 20 or so. So yeah, it's our limbs over time. Like, you're one day to the next based on what you eat.
Sure.
You binged on Ben and Jerry's or the wine or whatever. You're like, I'm feeling bloated today. Your watch, your pants fit tighter. So when they cast us for a prosthetic limb, that's the mold of where you are that day. But 2 days later, an hour later, months and year go by, your body just changes shape over time. And so you have to constantly, you can make adjustments to them to a certain extent. And then once your limb has changed enough shape, or you put on too much weight or lost too much weight, you got to go in and submit through insurance and get it's a whole process of multiple test versions of it. And this one's probably about $30,000 to give you an idea.
Oh my gosh.
It's like a car.
Yeah.
So,
does insurance that then? I'm assuming.
Typically, they'll pay for kind of like 1, 2. It's they're all finicky. I am fortunate to have health insurance that covers the majority of it. Yes, but not everybody's that.
Thank goodness.
Lucky. Yeah,
that's hard. So you go all these surgeries. You're physically. How do you feel physically, emotionally, and mentally? How do you feel at this point?
Man, I was told, like, right when the accident happened, within days, a friend who was on that cruise with me, I'm not going to name his name, because he's online. No, but he a kind at the time, he meant well, but he said, hey, handle it. Good thing this happened to John, because he can handle it. And I heard this message of, I'm supposed to be able to handle this. Everybody expects this of me. And so I did everything I could for years and years and years to look like I had it all together. And so I didn't deal with the emotional trauma of having a friend die in a wreck and seeing my legs split open and all the surgeries and all the trauma and the physical pain. I just covered it up and I was like, I'm going to get back as soon as I can so that I can show people I'm okay. That was kind of like, I'm a clown and I'm going to go at 100% and I'm going to get 4 superlatives out of the deal. I was like, I'm going to go hardcore and I'm going to show people I got this. And so I put everything. So you're putting
on a fake, I'm fine, guys, I'm proving wrong, I'm doing fine, I'm living, I'm breathing, I'm here today.
I'm working sooner than I should because I'm working really, I'll take therapy. Give me some more pain, I'll take the pain. Give me some physical therapy. Let's hit it. Let's do it. So I, bounced back, people expected, and I got praised for that.
Yeah.
You get that.
We're going to talk about your addiction later on, but did you at this point start liking pain pills? Were you popping pain pills? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
and I wasn't. I didn't abuse them that first year when I was at home with parents, and I just took them as prescribed. And I actually had a friend. It was a friend after I started to like, hey man, I've been getting high on these things, huh? And I was what? And I didn't know. I was just taking them as prescribed. And once somebody planted the seed with me, then I was off to the races. It was like, oh, I can take 2. Oh, let's see what happens if I take 2 and I drink on top of that. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So into pain pills, and it was a regular thing after I graduated. I lived in for a year before moving out to San Diego to get a master's in counseling. And all underneath the surface, I was going to accomplish things to go show people I was fine, and I was numbing out the whole time underneath the surface.
So you were healing by numbing your pain. You weren't dealing with it. You weren't going to counseling. You were going to go to school for counseling to maybe figure it out?
Exactly. Well, it was like when I got to the end of I went to the master's program, rehabilitation counseling, San Diego State. Most schools, it's just a 2-year program. But me being the overachiever I am, I went to a 3-year program because it was going to be harder and more intense, and I was going to get more out of it. But really what it was is I was kicking the can down the street to not look at me. It's like, oh, let's your problems. I'm going to get trained on how we on you. And I got to the end of this program. I was in my last semester, and I was like, what am I going to do? Like, I can't go people. And I didn't know I wasn't myself or anybody else that I was struggling with pain pill addiction. And that was added to that, and alcohol. Throughout graduate school, I was bouncing around. I was working for a nonprofit helping raise millions of dollars for people with disabilities to have access to sports, and was doing triathlons and and teaching spins and doing interviews around San Diego news of my story of amputation to help raise money. Doing great work on the outside, but I was just in a dark void every single day. I was waking up just like I had to just numb out because, wasn't focused on other people's problems rather than my own.
Sure. And when did you meet your wife? You were married at
I met her as I was graduating college. She was kind of coming in, best friends with her cousin. And so I met her. And so I moved out of state, and that's when we started dating. So to anybody out there who's dating somebody long distance, I was able to cover up my addictions being out of state for the 2 years that we were engaged and dating in a 2-year period. Yeah, she had no idea because I could pull it together on a weekend or, holiday, whatever. It didn't take her 6 months. She moved out, graduated college, moved out to San Diego. And 6 months later, she's flying home to her parents going, something's not right. I don't know what it is, but something's not right. And she stuck with it for 14 years. I earned my, unfortunately, did things I regret and behaved in that were very selfish and centered, but she gave it a good whirl for 14 years.
But you have blessings out of those 14 years, and how old are they?
Yeah. My boys are 18 and 15, and my daughter's 11.
Oh, okay. There's 3.
Yeah. Yes.
And then is 11-year with your wife? Was she a different marriage or same marriage?
No, same. Yeah.
Okay, 14. Yep. Sorry.
We were married 14, and we had all 3 kids within that time frame. Yeah.
I was.
Yep. Yeah. Well, yes, I'm married at the time, and I get to the end of this. I'm coming to the tail end of my master's, and I'm going, what do I didn't see being a licensed counselor, like sitting in a all day long. I was like, what do I do next? And I was working again for this nonprofit in sports, disabled sports. So I was like, I'm going to ride that out for a little while. And sure enough, I had a perfect out. What kid doesn't want to go to Hollywood and get blown up and be an actor and stuntman in Hollywood? Well, I guess there are kids that don't want to do that. But in my world, being the outgoing person I was and the wanted to go broadcasting initially anyway, that's why I was in communications. It was like, I got to be a body double in the first TV show about the war in Iraq.
Oh, wow.
So the show to come about the war in Iraq was called Over There. It just lasted 13 episodes in 2005. Okay. And my cousin was cast as the lead guy. He's the number 1 guy, and he's going to lose his right leg below the knee in the first episode.
Oh.
And then the show going to talk about him getting addicted to painkillers and trying to go back and fight over there, hence the name of the show. And he calls me up and says, hey, what leg are you? And I said, right leg, below the knee. And he goes, that's what they wrote in the script. He said, could you take me through what you went through in your car wreck to help me with this is the biggest character, the biggest role I've had yet. So I took him through my car wreck over the phone, kind of told him, I told you. And we're getting a phone. I said, hey, if you need any help with the leg shots, let me know. And he goes, oh, they'll probably do computer. I'm sure we need you. I said, all right. And then like a few days later, a week later, he calls and he goes, hey, they want to see you. I'm like, who are they? He's like, they don't ask questions. No. So I drive up to LA and I meet with he was like, you're hired. I have a look and build as my cousin. Josh Henderson's his name. He's still acting days. And so I got hired as the first amputee in the first TV show about the war in Iraq. And so here comes People Magazine and Access Hollywood, and these national press start coming out doing a story on the first show about the war in Iraq, 2 cousins working together to pull this off and talk about ego,
celebrity status.
I mean, it's worked in years and years to get their Screen Actors Guild card to be a part of the union. I got it my first 3 episodes, it fell in my lap, and I was off to the races with this ego with a really bad inferiority complex. I was didn't know who I was, and so
you're still broken.
I'm completely broken from my childhood, and now you're going to throw me into LA, into the Hollywood. Like, that's not a rest for success.
Did it pay well? Did you get paid for it?
It did, yeah. It pays.
Okay, so now you're paying money.
So I made an NCIS and ER, a horror blind that. Some stuff went straight to DVD, play some body stuff, some stunt double, and then a little bit on camera. The one that's interest to anybody is my one word in the movie Superbad. So that's what I'll tell you about is we shot that scene in Superbad. I have a short little scene where I jog around track and Jonah Hill's huffing and puffing. He's out of shape. And the whole deal is for me to be jogging by on my prosthetic and curse at him. And so so I run my one line. So
what do you say?
Pussy! So it's a line they have throughout the movie. There's a couple different instances where they use that, and so this was kind of a play. And
did you become friends with Jonah Hill?
No, I mean, I'm just like the legged guy, I just play. But he was super nice. He was super friendly,
Yeah.
super welcoming. We rode in the van together on the way to the set, and he played a prank on set and had everybody, laughing. So really nice and very approachable. So was Seth Rogen was
Oh my
really
gosh.
appreciative. He wrote the role. He saw me I was getting like a burrito breakfast. The sun is just coming up. We had a real early call time that morning.
Yeah.
And so like a burrito truck. And he's like, hey man, I just want to say thanks for coming out. I said, thank you, Mr. for the opportunity. And he said, my grandpa was an amputee. So that's how I knew. I thought it'd be funny to write a one-legged guy in the scene. My grandpa was an amputee. So he goes, we appreciate you being here. So,
I always wonder how they get through a movie with those two guys, or Will Ferrell, or any of those hilarious comedians. How do they get through, like Superbad, or how do they get through the movie without laughing all day long?
yeah, well, here's I don't share this with everybody, but Jonah Hill, we're on the set, and they're shooting a scene after ours. So mine is I just jog past them, and our scenes, we shoot it, we're done. And then they're shooting another scene on the soccer field. And Jonah Hill, Michael's sitting there talking, and all these kids are running around him. They're trying to have a conversation, and then somebody kicks the ball, and everybody's cursing at Jonah and Michael. They're just, yelling obscenities as they're supposed to, these kind of background actors. So they did that point, and Jonah just starts screaming. He was like, shut it down. He was like, everybody shut it. They're filming behind the scenes camera stuff, and he was like, that down. I don't want that camera on. And he goes, who called me? And somebody said one word, whatever it was, just called him a name. And so he goes, who called me that, whatever word it was? And somebody, this little, like, that was me. And he was like, dude, you can call me any name in the book, buddy, but you never, ever, 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 ever name, ever. And everybody's just like, whoa, like, dude, chill out. Just chill out.
Yeah.
And then in this long pause, he had everybody on pins and needles. And then he goes, I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh.
So he had everybody rolling, laughing. Well, the bad thing is that kid that he called out ran off crying.
Oh no.
Because he got called out on set in front of, 100 people. Jonah felt bad. I heard him talking to somebody in the tent, and he's like, man, I should that kid. He's like, I didn't mean to hurt his feelings. So he felt real upset about it. So
poor guy.
The rest
He's
was got a good laugh.
trauma now.
Yeah. So
with this movie, and now what's the next? Is this where you become chubby cakes, or you have addiction that you're going through?
No, so I wanted to move out of LA. Just gonna speed the story up. Wanted to move out of LA. Had our first child out there. Realized didn't want to raise a family out there. I'm struggling with addiction. Not admitting it yet. Still not even admitting it.
So you're doing it while you're filming everything.
Mm-hmm.
While you're in Hollywood,
I'm
you're going
popping
through
pills.
bus parties.
I'm showing up to acting class high on pills, and just checking. I had an acting coach, and we're like, "Are you on something?" I'm like, "No. What are you talking about?" Like, even the acting coach, like, this guy's got.
Wow.
So, but I was
at this point. What are you choosing to get high on? Is it
Adderall? I'm taking more Adderall than I need to. Pain pills and alcohol. And
so it's not cocaine, crack.
I never got to that point yet.
Fentanyl, nothing like that.
I hadn't gotten there yet, and I never did, thankfully. But I to the Playboy Mansion. I got an invite to an after party thing at the Playboy Mansion with Adam Sandler and Bruce Willis, Emma Stone, Demi Moore, Ashton Kutcher, all these people. John Lovitz that I looked up to and admired are there, and I'm rubbing shoulders with these people, taking pictures.
Is he alive at this point?
Yeah, he's there. The tent I was in, I got invited to was Catherine McPhee. She was our in LA, invited us to this thing. So her tent was right next to Hugh's tent on the grounds there for the party. And I tried to get in, and he had security standing out there, and I was like, hey, can I go in and get a picture? I'm with Catherine. And they were just go.
Oh, wow.
They're like, we couldn't do him. Yeah, they did photos with him. He had a
strict policy.
So, yeah. So I thought I'd arrive, and here I am. I'm back. I'm making money. I'm in LA. I'm at the Playboy Mansion with Adam Sandler. Didn't get much better than that. And then it wasn't too long after they got a call that my brother, my best friend, my only didn't show up for his job there in LA. And he struggled with addiction for a lot of his life, mental health issues, bipolar. And we didn't, as a family, talk about it. We just kind of expected him to get better on his own. And unfortunately, it led to an overdose. And even more unfortunately, is I found him. I was the one I got the call that he didn't show up for work. I go to his house that he was renting a room in this house in Beverly Hills, kicked in his bedroom door, and he had been dead for 3 days. So I stepped in from, multiple traumas already for my leg, and now my brother.
I'm so sorry. That would be not a nightmare to go through and see him.
It was, yeah. It's just not something you just get over overnight.
And how was he at the time?
Yeah, my brother Matt, love you, brother. He was probably like,
All right.
So moved to where I've been the last years to get out of LA. I brought me with me. I started working for Dave Ramsey, if you know,
Okay.
Christian organization. Thought it'd be environment for me. I was like, then I started well, but I thought working in a healthy environment, a nice Christian environment, helping people on their finances and help
Yeah. Did
people
you get financially wealthy?
I know.
Did you
No.
start saving that $1 a day?
I did not do the
work there. Okay.
yes.
And did you work side by side with Ramsey, or was it just a big, huge corporation?
I was hired. I was an employee hired. They had a big employee, John Mabry. This was like 2010, 2011, and it got to where I was calling churches, event tickets, and I to meet Dave Ramsey multiple times. But on this one particular day, I got very personal conversation with him. When I got called into his office one day, everybody was leaving for the company meeting, and I got called by my boss to go a different direction than everybody else as we got out of the elevator. And I got walked by HR's office into Dave's office, and sitting at this round table is Dave and HR, my boss's boss, and then walk me and my boss. Dave sits and he says, "Man, this is a really difficult conversation to have, but it looks like you're struggling with some stuff. You got some problems, and I can't help you with those. But I'm going to give you the opportunity to leave. I'm going to let you go get the help that you need." And I was substance on the, let's say.
Okay. So they noticed
when your church is while drinking vodka at your desk, popping pain pills, it's frowned upon. And that's where my addiction. Shameful to say that out loud. That's where I was, and I got let go, and ended up in 5 rehab centers in 7 years as a result of that.
And your family is helping you with, or you're paying out of pocket?
Yes. I'm fortunate. Yeah, I was fortunate to be able to pay for it, and
you just. And why do you think that after you left the one place, did you do good for 6 months, and then you were like, no, you just
no.
It did.
I was in denial. I was like, I don't have a problem. I don't have a drinking problem. Okay. And they took me through the 12 steps in the first rehab center. I go out to celebrity place at Sierra Tucson's place and to go out there on 45 days. 45 days in the desert, therapy and massage and pool volleyball and acupuncture and all these things to just charge you money for. Yeah. But I didn't really do the underneath the surface. I told everybody what they would hear. And that's a theme for my life. Let me just tell everybody what'll get you off my back. Yeah. And so I would go from center, start drinking 3 days later, not knowing I was going to go off the rails again, go to another treatment center, and I would not stay sober for very long. I finally got sober for 2 years after one of them, and that's when I started doing public speaking and hosting a podcast on addiction and working for a group of addiction treatment centers. So I did have a period there of some decent sobriety.
Are you still married at this point?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. And she's going through it with you.
Man, it's tough on the spouse. It is.
Yeah, it's tough on the spouse. Do your kids remember times or yeah?
No, well, she shielded them a bit. It was really she did a really good job shielding them. Yeah. Until and you managed the house. Yes. Yep. Okay. Yep. They didn't see. She would see me at night, just kind of hunched over, right, taking some. I passed out at a prosthetic once because I had stolen some Xanax and I took a bunch and I passed out at a prosthetic office. And they have to call you when they ask for an emergency contact. That's why. So if you pass out on drugs in your prosthetic appointment, to call. Yeah. So she had to come take me to the hospital. Oh my gosh. Chaos. Now,
you took your pressure in these places, and you're totally either high or drunk. Was your blood pressure normal, or what? Did they ever say? Oh, no, they don't.
I don't even remember.
You're like,
if I got taken, I wasn't in a good frame of mind.
Yeah. You're like, whatever. Checked out. And years you're sober, you just wild hair, you just what?
Yeah, I start again because I wasn't working a recovery program. I was working in the recovery field, but I wasn't working a recovery program. It's totally different. I can go to work every day and serve others, but am I doing my 12-step work? Am I talking to my sponsor? Am I doing the things that got me sober? And I wasn't. I was letting them slip. I was getting more recognition and that ego was growing again. I was doing interviews around the country and Michael Jackson's nephews on their radio show in LA, and this stuff was coming in and I was just my ego building, and I started drinking again, and when it all blew up, lost house, wife, kids. I was in a sober living house for 7 months after another stint in rehab, and I was just working for an addiction treatment center, hosting a podcast on addiction. I was interviewing guys like 3 of the members of the Corn, and a guy from 3 Doors Down, and Michael Lohan, Lindsay Lohan's dad, and wow. Now I'm back in the house for 7 months going through a divorce, and that's when I just started eating, started just I did not want for a period of time.
So you weren't taking care of yourself mentally, physically, or emotionally. You were
Well,
just
COVID hit. So all this happened right before COVID hit. And I'm living on my own for the first time in my life. Like, supervised visits. I had a week for 3 years, almost every week for 3 years. Breathalyzed, so I could get my kids for up, 4 hours supervised, 4 unsupervised for a while. And then, 8 hours. And then I go up to a day, and I had to earn this time, but had to blow into a breathalyzer with a camera on it. And they would take a picture of me with my blood alcohol content and email it to my ex-wife before I could even just go pick the kids up. And I ended up, that was my relapse 5 years ago. And that's when everything changed. That you sent last night was changed when my son was 12, and I was drinking during my time with my children. Shamefully, have to admit that. But he comes up to me and says, "Dad, mom's on her way to stop." And I said, "Why, buddy?" And he goes, "Because I smell alcohol on your."
oh,
And I was like, oh. And so I saw like myself through my son's eyes. It's like this out of where it's like this little boy, this 12-year-old is protecting his little brother and sister because I can't even be a parent. I'm not fit to be a parent. And he's having a 12-year-old's having to go, "You're not well, Dad. You need help." So Mom came and picked him up and crawled into Celebrate Recovery. That's what has helped save me. It's a Christ-centered 12. I still do some AA meetings, but a 12-step recovery program. My home group is a Celebrate Recovery group. It's the same 12 steps, but just Christ-centered. And that's what.
And it's a more of a support. They have 24-hour support. How does it work?
It's as grand. So it's the same 12 steps that you work through as AA. So I was familiar with the step process. Here's what's different. There's two things. One, Celebrate Recovery are at churches all across the country, and they're for any hurt, habit, or hang up. So it doesn't have to be pride. It can be overeating. It can be, lust or sex or relationships. There's a lot of people in Celebrate Recovery that are just codependent, and they need support for their codependency. That's a really big one. And so for any hurt, habit, or hang up, you're welcome to Celebrate Recovery. And they have, what's great is in AA, you work the 12 step with a sponsor. It's you and your sponsor working the 12 steps. And so one person in the world knows all of your stuff. The way Celebrate Recovery is set up is you sign up for it's about a year-long step study program. So you work through the same 12 steps. You do it over the course of a year, 2 hours a week. So you meet like 1 hour one session a week for 2 hours. And everybody in the group goes around and answers, okay, we're on step number 1. Here's number 1. You do your homework at night or homework, during the week. And you present to the group. Nobody gives feedback. Nobody judges you. Nobody says, oh, you should do this. All you do is share your answer with a group of 8 or 10 other guys. So you work through the same 12 steps, the same exact process that you work in AA, but you do it in a group of guys. Now all those guys know all my crap. I've heard all their crap. And, one particular guy's deep stuff. And I was like, man, if you're going to be that bold, okay, I was going to hold this back. Now I'm going to share it because you were really bold, man. We all just like, next thing you know, we've gone through this spiritual warfare together. We've been into all of our junk. We flushed it out to the group. And now I got 8 or 10 guys I can call anytime, day or night when I got a problem.
Yeah.
So that's.
Would you recommend Celebrate Recovery over Rehab Center? Are you saying that this worked better for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because even the centers, the job is once to sober people up and give you tools for living. And so every rehab center took something from, so none of them were wasted. I took tools, but instead of help people for 85 or 86 years, however long AA has been around, is really the whole point to have spiritual experience. The whole goal of the 12 steps is to have a spiritual experience. That there's the only thing that's going to fill the God-sized hole that I wake up with every single morning. I wake up with the God-sized hole in my soul. I'm going to fill it with something. And I was taught through 12 steps that it's through a spiritual experience. And AA is you can pick any God of your understanding. They just want you in the door. Pick any God of your understanding. It could be the sun. It could be Buddha. It could be the group itself. It could be, some people have a relationship with their wife, higher power, but whatever gets them in the door.
Yeah.
But I found I needed more than and I started exploring. I've been to up here. I went to Bali, the top one. That's me. I went on a spiritual retreat in Bali. I laid with gurus in huts in Bali to read my energy. And I've done equine therapy and, all kinds of stuff. And what it came down to is I needed that little bit of Jesus in my heart that Celebrate Recovery was allowed me to tap into that sustained me over the last 5 years.
And were you raised in the church too? Or?
I was, yeah. So my grandpa was a preacher. He and Billy
Oh,
Graham went to Bible college together. So they were friends throughout their entire careers. So my
okay.
grandpa was he was not kind of, and that's why
Yeah.
I do public speaking today. And I'm trying to carry on grandpa. He's pastored at First Baptist 35 years, was his longest stint, and really, led a lot of people. I mean, thousands and thousands of people, the world speaking. And so he was a hero. And so I'm trying to carry on the family tradition of sharing how my life transformed.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations on 5. That's huge.
Thank you.
And life in Nashville. Tell us about life in Nashville now.
So now I'm grateful to, I had my greatest speaking. So I spoke years ago at this treatment center, the successes I had, and it all went to crap. And I've just slowly been able to kind of rebuild my life back. Over the 2 years, I've had my mother die. I was there Texas 14 times in a year to help with my mom's health. I got to see her. I got to watch her die and honor her by being sober. I got to be there graveside. I got to put her in the ground with my father.
Knowing you're okay.
On top of my, and at the time I had ingrown hair on my leg and I was on crutches. And after my mom's death, I came here and I had multiple surgeries on my limb. I almost had my leg amputated above the knee. I was on crutches in a wheelchair for 7 months. I got through it. Then I just had 2 surgeries the last 6 months on my ankle. As a result of my car wreck, I've had 2 surgeries on my ankle, and my grandmother's died all in the last 6 months. And I've been able to maintain my sobriety through it, through the accountability that I around me, and making a lot of phone calls and asking for help and asking for meal train. I need people to give me food because I can't walk on my leg months at a time. And so today,
and one of the things I advocate for is to ask for help. Reach out to.
Yes. So many of us are underneath the surface. And we've all been through things that have amputated our spirit. We've all felt an amputation of our heart through a relationship that didn't go correctly, bad investment, or a job you really put yourself out there for and it didn't work out the way you wanted it to. Like, we've all had pieces of ourselves off that we've been cut off from. But every single day before I get out of bed and I put on my leg, I am in prayer. Please, Lord, protect me today. Help give me the strength to get through the day and to be able to serve others to the greatest extent possible. So I put on my spiritual prosthesis before I get out of bed. Then I put on my physical prosthesis. And everybody out there too, on some level, can put on a spiritual prosthesis by just going to prayer and asking God for help. And maybe today you need to make a phone call. Maybe today you need to ask for help and going, I'm in a really bad relationship. I need to talk to my friend about how I get out of this really toxic relationship. Or I need to talk to a counselor today about my marriage issues. Like, it's okay to ask for help. We're all screwed up. We're all trying to figure this stuff out. Nobody has the answers. But one of the answers I have found is to simply ask somebody.
That is so awesome. John, your story is amazing. I've learned that when you want to cry in the podcast, you hold your tongue against the roof of your mouth, which I did several times during your whole. I think you're carrying out your grandpa's superhero, legendary. What happened for your kids to look up to a role model now of what not to do, and how you can support them if they're in any crisis, any time of their lives. Like you said, we're all not, but you seeked help and you got, and thank God you're here today, right?
Amen. Yes, only by the grace of God. Thank you so much for having me.
John, thank you. And I have to read a disclaimer real quick, and then I'm going to hit the button, and then you and I will talk. Hey, do you want to introduce Titan to everyone?
Let me see. Titan.
Because he said hello a couple.
All right, look at this. So I have a Savannah, have a cat. Say hi, Titan. Say
hi, adorable. It's like, I'm camera shy.
I don't have my makeup on.
He's handsome. Okay.
He's awesome. I love him.
Thank you for sharing him. I want the viewers to think it was our stomachs that was growling in the background.
Yeah, exactly.
The disclaimer: the information on the podcast is for educational and inspirational purposes only. It is not medical, psychological, or professional advice. Always consult with a qualified professional before making changes to your health, mindset, or lifestyle. You're responsible for your own decisions, actions, and results. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and always do what's best for you. Okay, I'm going to turn you off.
I'll say one last thing to the audience. If you're looking for a dynamic speaker for a group, college, university, business, let me know. John Mabry Connects, social media.
And do you have a website? I'm going to put that all in the...
Yeah, johnmabryconnects.com.
Okay.